Hello folks, Colin here. Today we're taking a trip back in time to an evening in 1973, a typical evening at the Magic Circle. Well, in those days the Magic Circle was very different to what it is now. It was really a closed club, very misogynistic, no women were allowed, and it was under the radar, a bit like the Masons. Since then it's come on a long way into the 21st century, kicking and screaming, and I think we've had our first woman president. How times have changed. However, the headquarters then were in Cheney Mews, which was a little lane just off Shaftesbury Avenue. Tottenham Court Road, I beg your pardon, Upper Tottenham Court Road. And from the outside, it just looked like a Mews residence, one of the old solid doors with the opening in the middle, and that's how you got in. You went through the door and you came into a small reception area. There would always be a doorman, we called him Jack. I don't know if that was his name, but everybody got a laugh out saying, "Hi Jack." And if he knew you, you were ushered in. If he didn't know you, he'd ask a lot of questions, and if you were a guest, you'd have to sign in, and that your sponsor would have to be there with you. He'd take everything apart from your inside leg measurement. Then you turn left. That would lead you into the club room. You walk past a display case which had the original Davenport's Flying Saucer, which caused such a sensation when they placed it in Davenport's window in opposite the British Museum when they were having a shop there, and a couple of other items. And the club room itself was, I wouldn't say terribly large, but bright white and open, again with some display cases. In the middle of the floor was the emblem of the Magic Circle with a big downlight that made it into a sort of parlour performing area, and scattered around the room would be the Magic Circles, which would be tables for about 6 or 7 people. In the top left-hand corner would be the bar. Well, it was a coffee bar really, but you could get a glass of wine or sherry, no beer or anything uncouth like that. And sitting at the bar would be the then President, Mr. Francis White, a real Victorian gentleman. He spoke like that and would always say, "Hello dear boy, how lovely to see you, how are things?" And he would be a permanent fixture. Through the door at the back to the gentlemen's toilets, didn't need a ladies, and to the right hand side the dressing room for the stage, because the theatre was on the right side of the building. So on the left was the club room, on the right was the theatre. A fully equipped theatre with lighting, music, everything you'd expect. I think seating for a couple of hundred people. And that's where all the lectures took place. Then back into the club room, as you came in there was a small staircase that led up to the mezzanine floor for the library. So you could flick a nick and get a book out for a week to do your research. So let's have a walk round and see what's going on. The club room would open about 5ish and would start filling up 5 till about 6:30, and then it would be in full swing. Now on table number 1, unusual this, John Solis, who later became a president and did a very fun event act, and he was sitting with Larry Parker. Now Larry didn't appear very often because he was the resident magician at the Victoria Palace, where Max Bygraves was doing his Sing-Along-a-Max, and it ran for months and months and months. And Larry would only turn up when he needed some advice. He'd have an idea for a trick and he'd go around and quite unashamedly say, "Well, how do I do this? What do you suggest?" And he was there chatting away with John Solis. On the next table, a series of coin workers, and they were discussing, I think, the differences between sleeving and toppeting. So we'll go past them, I think. Now, next table, quite a heated discussion going on. Bobby Bernard was holding court with a few of the younger members discussing something or other, and sitting on the table was Alan Allen, who was just sitting there smiling benevolently and shaking his head, which was the nearest he got to thunderously disagreeing with anybody. So he obviously didn't like what he was seeing with Bobby. And then the next table, just a bunch of lads practicing Pharaoh shuffles of all things. And I missed one and all the rest of it. So quite a lot going on. Now, about 7:30, the club room would start to empty as people went into the theatre for the evening's lecture. Sometimes it would be a performance, sometimes a lecture. This night, Jack Delvin, who became the president later on, and he was doing a lecture on classics of magic. Miser's Dream, Egg Bag, Linking Ring, so on and so forth. The lectures would normally last about an hour, and then we'd all pile back into the club room. And a buzz went round because Harry Lorraine, the American who was doing the tour, was just about to go back to the airport, but he was going to pop in for half an hour. So in came Harry, just what you'd expect, a big, bumptious, boisterous American, and they set up the table in the central area that I told you about, the light shining down, and for about 20 minutes he performed the most amazing, fast-talking, wise-cracking card magic, quite breathtaking, and that was the magic circle. Any evening would be the same. About 10 to 10:30, the lights would flick on and off, you know, last orders, gentlemen please. And if you got away with it, Chris Pratt, who was then the treasurer, didn't collar you, because Chris, who was a lawyer and had a lawyer's mind, I think he must have had a photographic memory, because if you were a week behind in your sums, Chris would collar you and say, oh, come on. He'd do everything except turn you upside down and shake the money out your pockets. And it was no use saying to him, Chris, there's a cheque in the post. He's heard them all. And standing shotgun would be David Beckley. Now David, at that time, was working for the Daily Mirror, but later he became the casino king. He got a job as a croupier, and then a pit boss, which was controlling several tables, and later as an assistant manager and the main advisor on cheats. If they thought somebody was cheating, because they had cameras everywhere in the casinos, I think even in the toilets, they called David over and he said, oh, hang on, there's something a bit iffy there, I think this bloke's second dealing. Now they wouldn't go in and cause a scene, they just said, excuse me sir, you're wanted on the phone, and the bloke would disappear, never to be seen again at that casino. I don't think they took him out in the desert and buried him. I mean, it'd be very difficult and critical. But that was my memories of the Magic Circle. Since then, it's become more of a business organisation, a brand name, and in many ways a lot more open, and that's right, because the contributions that people make are very important, especially the female of the species. It's changed, and I think mainly for the better. The only proviso I'd say is that, well, we need to protect our secrets and not shout about how to do it, where to do it and what to do it, but just get on with it. And remember, we're in the business of entertaining people, and magic is, the mystery of magic is part of that entertainment. Now, next time I see you, I'm going to be doing a tribute to Percy Press Senior. Not many of you will remember Percy Press Senior. He was the last of the true buskers who made a living on street corners before he went legit. And I'll be telling you stories of his wonderful Punch and Judy show and his marvellous cups and balls and card under shoe routines. Fond memories of a dear man. So I hope you join us, and I hope you've enjoyed this. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. OMG, oh my goodness, TTFN. That's ta-ta for now. Memories of the Magic Circle. Bye-bye.